Peace and blessings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Asiya. I am your host, Asiya Nasir, and the mission of our show is to empower and educate the women of our communities and the girls that they are raising. Today's topic is, I think, a very, very important topic that we're going to be having today on body positivity and how that connects to self love and empowerment, especially now with our girls that just started school. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. And these are some of the issues that our girls, whether they're mentioning it to us or not, or having that conversation or not, it's definitely something that's on their mind. And what I would like to do today on our show is to unpack what to do, how to manage those thoughts, how to overcome, not having body positivity. And we have just the right guest to do that. So I am very, very excited and happy to, bring in our guest today, Ambyr Chatzopoulos. Ambyr is someone that I found. I really was intentional about who I wanted to have on the show. And this is actually the first time me and Ambyr are actually meeting one another. But when I read her story, I knew she had to be on the show and she had to be the one to talk about this. So welcome, Ambyr. Welcome to Conversations with Asiya.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Yes, it is. This is going to be a great topic. Our girls are just getting ready, just started school this week for many of them. And so for the viewers, we already have some that are tuned in already. So for the viewers that are watching, tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Ambyr. I am a personal trainer and a coach, and I started a program for young girls about 5 years ago. And in this program, we work on confidence in a lot of different ways and finding strength, both from an inner perspective and an outer perspective. I am able to do that through, because I'm a personal trainer, I can work in strength training, but we make it fun. We make it obstacle courses. And then always we're ending our classes with different lessons, whether the lessons are about finding your voice or kindness, because believe it or not, there's a lot of strength in kindness.
Yes.
And being happy with who you are, regardless of what you see around you or what other people say. So that's basically what the program is about. It's about building strength from an inner perspective and an outer perspective.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And that's why I said, when I found you and I read your story, I was like, Ambyr has to come on this show. She has to talk about what she's doing because I fell in love with your story. And for the viewers, you're going to hear, everything about what I learned about Ambyr and what I've continued to learn now that I follow her, and everything. What I want to ask you before we get into that exciting, introduction is, as we're talking about body positivity, I think we hear terms sometimes, but we really don't understand what it actually means. So being that you actually teach this program, you coach, on this particular topic from an inner perspective as well, how would you define body positivity and how does that connect to empowerment and self-esteem? So it's a two-part question.
Body positivity is being able to love your body, yourself, and accept it regardless of shape or size. And that's not an easy thing to do, whether you are a 10-year-old girl or a 45-year-old mom. I think we all struggle with that. So body positivity is something we're constantly working on and constantly trying to accept ourselves with. But body positivity is easier to kind of follow through with when you're doing all the right things to get there too. So yeah, I mean, I think at our girls' age, it's about being confident with who you are, and that lets you accept random little things, whether it's like your hair color or the frizziness of your hair or the fact that you're really skinny and have no muscles. Like, it's about being able to accept yourself and know that your self-worth is not tied to what you look like. I think that's kind of the biggest struggle. But that's
Yeah.
what body positivity is, right? Being able to accept ourselves and know our self-worth is not tied to our physical appearance.
I love what you're talking about because I think, like you said, it's definitely a struggle for teen girls, and I even find myself, at my age, I'm 50, and I still go through ebbs and flows with, having 3 children and my body completely changing, remembering what my body looked like 10 years ago when I used to be a gym rat, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like that, and I'm going through a different phase in my life where losing weight is not as easy. So, and looking at yourself in the mirror and loving what you see anyway, I think that is such a struggle, and it does connect to our self-esteem and how we view ourselves. You have a special story as it relates to body positivity and how you actually got started with what you were doing. And this is what made me just like, I really want Ambyr to come on this show because no matter, like you said, we're all on this journey, even as adults and especially with teen girls. Your introduction to doing what you're doing is so special. Can you tell the viewers how you actually got started in doing the program that you're doing and self-esteem building with teen girls and moms?
Absolutely. So the reason I started my program is I always make videos for my Instagram for personal training, and my daughter, she's never been super into sports. She's not a competitive kid. She doesn't want to play soccer or field hockey or be part of that competition, but she's always loved to work out with me and she loves to be in my videos with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we had gone to the park one day and I had said, give me, 10 minutes, let me get set up and then we'll start videotaping. And she went off and found a little girl to play with. And when I was ready to start filming, I called her over and I said, okay, we're going to start. And she was like, she looked over at the little girl and she looked back at me and she's like, no, I don't want to do it. So I pulled her aside and I said, do you not want to do it because that little girl is here because you're afraid that she's going to think it's silly or not cool or something?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, yeah. And I mean, at the time, my daughter was 6 or 7 years old. And it blew my mind that at that age, she's already starting to change what she does or who she is based on who's around. And that was so scary for me because that was me growing up to a T. Like people pleaser, I'm
Yes.
gonna just kind of go with the flow. I'm gonna kind of do what I need to do to fit in instead of just being my own person
And being
like,
authentic, right?
Yes. Sometimes being like, this is what I love to do and I'm gonna do it regardless of who's around or if people are gonna think I'm silly. And so at that moment, I was like, well, okay, I need to do something about this. Now I know that she loves to work out with me and I have a background in coaching. I still actually, I just got back into it, but coaching high school and middle school track and field. So
Oh, wow.
for me, I had experience working with kids in the past. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start this program. And so for me, pulling from different aspects of my life and different training programs I had been through from a personal training perspective, I was able to create this program where we go through a lot of affirmations in our warm up. And that's how my girls start, right? Like every week when we meet, we go through affirmations. So we take 15 minutes at the beginning of each session and it's our warm up. So we're moving our bodies, but we're repeating these positive phrases over and over.
I love it.
And it's because believe it or not, like I think a lot of people dismiss affirmations, but the more you tell yourself something, the more you start to believe it. Absolutely.
We do it with negative. We do it with negative reinforcement. And you tell someone, and that's where sometimes a lot of childhood trauma comes from, is because of embracing negative labels, which I actually have a workshop on that. So so the more you replace it with something positive, absolutely, affirmations are so important. So I love the fact that you do that.
Yep. And so it's a great class. The kids have a good time. They get to do an obstacle course, which for them is like the big part of it. And then we always end with different lessons also. But so I created this class based around what I felt my daughter needs. And she flourished in this class. She did such a great job. And now she's 13 and she helps me teach the younger kids that are 6 and 7 years old coming through their program.
That's
And
what
so
I'm
for
talking
her,
about.
it has like increased her self-confidence to the
Hmm.
point where she is light years ahead of where I was at her age. So is she all there? No, like we still have work to
Yeah,
do
she's
and we'll
still
continue
evolving,
doing.
right? Hmm.
But she's so far ahead of where I was at her age. And so you know, I'm happy
And so,
with
how does
that.
she feel now about doing things in front of people?
So she when it comes to that kind of stuff, she is confident, right? Like
I love it.
she knows that she can now draw other people in and make them love what she loves. And so she has no insecurities when it comes to that kind of stuff anymore, which is great. I mean, there's other insecurities we
Right.
are
And
working
as she
through, but
continues to grow, she's going to have that, but she's overcoming it. Oh, I
yeah,
have someone that
yeah,
came on. She has a daughter. And she's just saying, good afternoon to us. So we have listeners. So she has a teen daughter right now. So a lot of our moms are listening in. So
yep,
I love the story of how actually being observant. And I think that's so important in being observant and watching. You saw something that was different from your daughter, and you're just like, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't feel right. And you took action. You was like, no, we're going to actually address this. I'm not just going to give her a lecture and that's it. You actually said, I'm going to work with my daughter. What I want to ask you though, Amber, is where do you think this comes from? What I mean, it's always been there. We've always been very conscious about how we look and wanting to look nice and things like that. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to put that disclaimer out. And even for our young girls, they want to go to school, they want to look nice. I think that's a good thing.
hmm
But I think in recent years, body positivity has become almost like an epidemic. Almost this need to be perfect, and I have to look this way, and if I don't look this way, something is wrong with me. Where do you think that's stemming from, Amber? That it has increased so much to where it is now, where some of our girls are doing things that are just, I mean, dangerous, trying to
yes.
fit and look a certain way.
So I think I'm going to attribute a lot of it to the fact that all of our kids now have cell phones, right? So the online presence and social media and the
Yes.
fact these filter, like, God, if I put
Oh,
filters on, I can make myself like 20 years younger, which I would love to
let me
do,
tell you something.
but
I could
it's
look like
not
Beyonce
real.
with filters.
Yeah. Yeah. But so like hard to tell in social media what's
Hmm.
reality and what's not. So our
Not,
girls are
yeah.
faced with this unrealistic uh vision that they're trying to achieve or trying to get to, which is sad. Um,
Yes,
but
it
if
is.
you like watch any of the documentaries or read the studies that are out there on about social media for young minds and what it
Mm-hmm.
does to them, it's scary. It's very
It is.
scary. But at
It
least
is.
like when we were growing up, it was like magazines and some TV. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's constantly in their face, like every day for hours a day. It's just there for them.
And
So unfortunately, they can't escape that.
right, right. And I think even for us, Amber, and I don't know if I'm speaking for even the viewers. And please, those of you that are here, please leave comments or questions that you may have for Amber. But even when I was growing up, we knew about plastic surgery, but it was like one of those things that it was like, I mean, it was not something that was really a reality for at
Right.
least, the people that I grew up with or in my neighborhood. It just wasn't something that we really, really thought about doing. But now you actually see, and I mean, they have statistics on high school girls actually having plastic surgery. And I think with these reality shows and some of these celebrities, a lot of them are having plastic surgery. Do you think that plays into our girls having a false image of, these women are born this way?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, their minds are not evolved enough and they're not mature enough to recognize that that's not reality, right?
Hmm.
It's not realistic. And it's also not healthy. Um, God, like no one is born with the perfect body.
Hmm.
I work very hard and I have good muscles, but like I even went through a phase in my 20s where I hated my legs and so I only wore long short, like everyone goes through issue.
Mm-hmm.
So for girls out there that are like, "Oh, she has the perfect body." I bet if you went and talked to that girl who you think she has, she'd be like, "Oh, well, no, look at this," because she doesn't think that, right? So it's understanding that everyone has insecurities and everyone has their
Mm-hmm.
own issues. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's super unfortunate that our girls are now exposed to these celebrities
Yeah.
or people that are having plastic surgery at an,
And they're
I
not
mean,
being honest about it either. They're
right,
they're they're coming on social media and they're coming on shows acting as if though this is how they were born and they just have great genetics, and a lot of it is not true, and a lot of our girls are attaching themselves to this is what perfection looks like, or this is what a woman should look like, and I don't look like that. And I'm
right,
finding that I'm working with girls that are really struggling, with accepting, like you said, body positivity, with no matter what shape I am or what size I am, I'm still okay. You know what I mean?
mhm,
I'm still good. And I'm finding that they're really struggling to make that connection that this is not real.
yeah, um, yes, and it's a struggle. Even as adults, it's a struggle, right? When you go on social
Mhm.
media and you view people's social media accounts, you're like, wow, that person has a great life. Again,
Mhm.
like everyone's posting what they want to post. They're posting the perfect things. So it's not real. So it's about making sure that the teenage girls understand that it's not real.
How do you
And
do that? How do you do that, Amber? Because I think parents are like, I tell my kids that they're not listening to me, and I know, that's true. How do you what tips and advice do you give for teen girls that are really struggling and not feeling good about themselves right now because they are, making comparisons, which is like the heart of disappointment? What
yeah,
would you say to that young girl who's watching right now and she's like, I hate the way I look, I cry when I look in the mirror?
right. So I would really advise against making comparisons, right? Comparing
Hmm.
ourselves to other people is a terrible thing to do, um, because you never know. There's no one's perfect, right? And like you can compare yourself in one aspect, but their life might be terrible in other ways. So making
Absolutely.
comparisons is terrible. I think one of the things I try to focus on with my girls that I work with is being real, right? I can talk to them about different struggles I've gone through, um, with body positivity, with eating disorders, with things of that
Mm.
nature, which are reality, right? So
Hmm.
my girls might look at me and be like, "But you're super strong and you can do pull-ups and you can go across like, yes, I can, but I've been through those struggles too." So they need to recognize that everyone struggles.
Hmm.
And so because of that, they can acknowledge that, oh, like, I don't like the fact that I have fat over my knees, right? But
Hmm.
I'm also recognizing that that doesn't make me who I am. I'm still
Yeah.
an amazing person with that extra fat or without it. I'm a beautiful, wonderful person regardless.
And I think that's the point that you were making with the affirmations earlier. It's so important for us to really be able to embrace and not necessarily have external affirmations. I mean, those are nice always, but
Right.
actually affirm yourself. Like, yeah, I don't like this necessarily, but I love this about myself. I love that I'm
Yep.
really good at this. I love, people, I'm able to do so much. I'm able to make impact and change and
Hmm.
positivity. I bring something to the table. I bring something to the room. And what are those things? Like, literally break it down. I think those affirmations that you were talking about earlier really helps our girls to kind of balance that versus just hearing the I don't like this, I don't like this, and
Yep. So it's interesting. One of the lessons that we did in one of my last sessions was each of the girls had to write down three things that they love about themselves. You know, I love my beautiful hair. I love that I'm the smartest kid in my math class. Whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
three things. And each of my girls struggled so much with
Oh
being
yes,
able to identify and then put it out there. Like
and
it's
say
like,
it out loud.
well, they could not. It was one of the
Mm.
most difficult lessons that we did. And so in my mind, that was eye opening, and I'm like, okay, clearly this is something we need to work on. And,
Mhm.
you need to get better at saying, you know what, I'm good at this and I know it, and that's okay. They had a really difficult time at identifying those things, writing them down, and then being able to speak them out loud. So,
Exactly. And I actually remember you and I, we were talking right before we came on the show, and how did I, start Jessica Cares, and I was saying, I took this program, 10-week leadership program, and I remember that was actually one of the things that we did. And you saw people in the room really struggling. And I remember the facilitator, he said, it's so easy for us to embrace what's wrong or what we feel is wrong with us. And we'll say that out
mhm.
loud all day. But to say what we think is great about us, somehow it connects to I'm arrogant, I'm conceited,
Yep.
I'm stuck
Mhm.
up. Why do you feel that connects to body positivity, which why our girls they don't even want to say what they actually like about their bodies because it's connected somehow to I'm saying something positive, but somehow it's connected to negativity. Why do you think that is, Amber?
I mean, that's a tough question, and you could chalk that up to, for unfortunately, but girls putting each other down, right? A lot of
Mm,
times, insecure people are going to put other people down to make themselves feel better, and unfortunately, girls will do that to each other a lot. And it's one of the things we talk about in my class a lot. It's about not not doing that to other girls, right? Finding people that lift you up and making sure you're one of those people that lifts other people up. Being kind to someone else and making them feel better about themselves will actually help your self-confidence, and it will make you feel better as a person. So,
and I think
I
there
don't,
is a connection.
yes,
That if I can say out loud what I like about myself, then I don't have a problem saying out loud what I like about someone else.
yes, yes,
You know? So
exactly. It
you're
does.
right on.
It kind of just all feeds into each other.
Hmm.
But that's a big one for sure.
Do you feel parents play a role when it comes to teaching? Oh, well, we have a question. So I'm going to get back to my question. We have a question here from one of the viewers. It said, do you think they learn judging other women from listening to adult women's conversation and how we behave? Oh, well, see, Didi, I know Didi's the viewer. She got right into where I was about to go. So Amber, please.
Okay, absolutely, right? I absolutely think that our children, even when we don't think they're listening or know they're listening, they're always listening. And so, yes, as parents, as women, watching what we say and,
Hmm.
joking, or whether it's in joking around or in seriousness, yes, how we talk about other people absolutely plays into what our children learn, the behavior that they learn.
Hmm.
Um, and so, and you see that even so, my daughter's now 13, her friends are 13. You can see the girls, the mean girls, right?
Yes.
And who they kind of come from. Like, it all kind of ties together. But yes, a lot of times, when they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, yes, it's a very often learned behavior.
It
Um,
is. And that's what I want to get into right now with the learned behavior. And that's why I was asking as parents, and Dee Dee went right into it where she was like, do you think they learn the judging and being a mean girl from, watching adult women that most likely are in their life and how they behave? What advice or what would you say to mothers of how they should and what should be, because words are powerful. What words should we be using with our children, especially our teen girls? And it's not to say that we don't do it with our boys as well, because boys need affirmations as well. But what would you say parents should, what type of conversation should we be having with our girls?
so I think it's important as parents, to set the right kind of example with your children, right? So, if we're talking about body positivity, I think it's important that we as parents talk to them about what we're putting into our bodies, right? We're only given one body.
Mm,
So, treating our body respectfully. And obviously, we all love our sweets and treats from time to time, but not overindulge, like not overindulging, not like, oh, you had a bad day at school, we're gonna go get ice cream. oh, you got
Right.
that on that test. Let's go. It's so it's about
That's a good one.
focusing on like putting healthy things into our body is going to make us feel better. And as parents, we need to do that so that the children can follow our example. Um, and once you start putting the right things into your body and moving your body and being active with your body, I think a parent, it's easier for you to then talk about the fact that, hey, we're doing all the right things. So you need to love and respect your body. Now, you asked about like what we talk to our girls about.
Hmm.
But I think being kind is one of the biggest things to kind of wrap your head around. As parents, being kind to other women and other parents. And
Hmm.
our daughters see that and they will follow that role. One of my good friends is one of the kindest women I know. She never has a bad thing to say about anyone. And
Mm.
luckily her daughter is my daughter's best friend. And I'm thankful for it because she's a good friend. But there is such a strength in my friend who would never think she's a strong person, like would never be like, I'm a really strong person. But I see that strength in her kindness because it's easy
Mm.
for women to be catty and talk about other people and but my friend she is just kind. And I've told
Mhm.
her what strength I see in that. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yes, it takes a
Do
much
you see
stronger
that?
person. Yeah.
To, no, go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
I
You
know.
said it
I was,
takes.
I was just gonna say it takes a much stronger person to be kind.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I strive to be like that. I really
Now, do
do.
you see those characteristics in her daughter?
Yes, I do.
Wow. Wow.
Um,
So she's
and
emulating what she sees and how her mother interacts and how her mother shows up in places
yep,
because her mom, is that type of person. I
yep,
want to. I've been seeing lately, and I think social media sometimes gets a bad rap sometimes because we do see so much negativity on it. But
uh-huh.
I've been seeing, and it's earned it. It's earned its negativity because there is so much of it. But I've been seeing videos lately of even fathers doing this with their daughters, mothers doing this with their daughters, and they're standing in front of the mirror with their daughters,
Yeah. Yep.
and having them look at having their daughters look at in the mirror, and they're having them do affirmations,
Yes.
and they're young. I'm talking about toddlers. They're doing this with toddlers, and I'm just like, whoa, like that's that's really young to be. How do you think that translate into the mind as they're growing into teenagers, and now people are poking at them, and I don't like this about you, and telling them negative things. How do you think that type of interaction with your child at that young age plays into them being
I
able to stay positive?
I think the earlier you can start that work with your children, the better off they'll be. I think
Hmm.
a lot of us wait until it's until we see issues, and that's when we're like, oh shoot, I better get started. Um,
Hmm.
but it's so I think that's wonderful, right? I love seeing those videos. I love the fact that
Yeah.
they're starting early. So we always like one of our first lessons we'll do is going through and writing out 3 different affirmations. And then I like at the end of class go up to the parents and I'm like, okay, these affirmations are going home with them. They need to go like on their mirror in their bedroom or on the mirror in the bathroom. And
Yes.
every time they look at that, they need to read that out loud and say it out loud. Because affirmations are great, but if you don't say it regularly, it
And
doesn't
see
matter. So
yourself in those affirmations. So the looking in the mirror is very important to
yeah,
what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah.
I love the fact that you get the parents involved and you're like, look, have them put this up, somewhere. I think that's important.
And so having said that, I think an important part it also is if the parents are willing to do it too. I think one of the reasons my
Mm.
daughter Georgie has acclimated so well and taken all this on is because I am willing to do everything with her, right? I think as parents, if you're going to ask your child to be vulnerable and stand in front of a mirror and say like I am beautiful, I am strong, I can accomplish anything. If you're asking them to do that, I feel like you need to be able to do it with them. You need, as a parent, to do the same things.
So
So
for that young girl who finds herself overweight, or like when I was growing up, I remember going back to school in the sixth grade, and I literally was looking at all of my friends that I grew up with, and I was like, where did all that stuff blow up over summer? And I still look like I was in the third grade. And I was like, I didn't like the way I looked. I was like, I'm just little skinny mini, and I was a late bloomer. And I'm looking at all of my friends; they're all developed. And how does a parent work with a child in those type of affirmations of body positivity? Of what type of affirmations could be said if a parent is like, you know what, I never had that, I'm not even sure how to do that. What type of words or affirmations can one use for someone who might find themselves where they feel they're overweight, or someone who feels like they're the late bloomer? And what body positivity affirmations could you give today for some parents who are like, I need some guidance?
so I think in that situation, thinking about or focusing on or pointing out the fact that all of the things that your body can do for you. So,
Mm.
it's not just about whether you are overweight or too skinny, or, a late bloomer and everyone else is matured and you have not yet, but
Right.
it's focusing on what can your body do for you? Like, what are the
Mm.
amazing things? Like, we take for granted something as silly as being able to walk out to the bus stop. There are
Yes, being
people who
able to
can't.
see, right?
Yes, we take so much for granted. So I
Mm,
think being able to take a step back and focus on the things that our body can do for us. So,
I love
and
that.
and just reminding ourselves that giving our bodies time, right? Like, nothing happens overnight. So I think affirmations that are more focused on, I appreciate my body for being able to walk through my school. I appreciate being
Mm,
able to run around and play tag. I appreciate being able to climb the ladder. Things that our bodies do that, again, there are a lot of people that are less fortunate than us that
I love
can't
that.
do those things. So
Hmm.
instead of looking at the negative side of it, being able to come from the other side and look at the positive side of it, that our body, what our body can do versus what it hasn't done yet, or what we don't like about it.
I love
Um,
that. I think that is so powerful what you said, Amber. I really want to just sit in that for a minute. Because what you said, when I say powerful, you're right. We don't take enough time to appreciate what our bodies can do for us. And
yeah,
we look at what's wrong with it. I'm not this, I'm not that. And like you said, there are people who can't walk, people who can't see or hear. Um, and just really appreciating, the gift in our body and what we're able to do in the moment,
hmm,
in the present, right? I think
yes.
that you just really you poured into me just now. That
Well,
was
good. I'm glad.
that was, and it's like I do my prayers in the morning, and I do thank,
Hmm,
I'm grateful for my body. But
hmm,
when you just made the connection of how do we replace what we don't like, it's like shift that thought and what can my body do throughout the day. I think
yeah,
that is so wow. That
yeah.
is, and we got some likes and some, oh yeah, we some hearts emojis.
So
Yeah,
it's
I think you touched
interesting.
a lot of people with that.
So I have two children. I have a daughter and I have a son. And my daughter tends to be like super positive, and my son tends to take a negative outlook on things. So it's
Mm,
always about trying to say, like, okay, I understand why you feel that way and what and where you're coming from, but you can't change that. So let's turn it around, and how can we
mm-hmm,
look at it from a positive perspective? So that
right.
idea of focusing on what our bodies can do versus what we don't like about them, is
That's a
something
game
like
changer.
that kind of thing always trying to work on.
I think
Yeah,
that's a game changer.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a real game changer for our girls, and just for youth and for women, for the women
yeah,
that are watching. I think that's a game changer, is thinking about what our bodies can do
yeah,
versus what we don't necessarily like about it. Because when you do work out, it's amazing what your body does in time. you
Yep.
know, in time, and that it's just that consistency or whatever. Now, there's just
Yep.
one other question that I do ask as it relates to
Okay.
body positivity, and that's stemming from, you know, some people are saying we shouldn't, we shouldn't, or there's been this agenda where body positivity has taken on, even if you are unhealthy and you're, you know, what they would consider overweight, well, you should still feel good about yourself and, you know, that kind of stuff, but you're not healthy. What do
Right.
you say to that as it relates to body positivity? Because I don't think someone, let me be quiet. Let me let you answer.
No, that is a great question, and I'm glad you touched on that, right? As a personal trainer, I'm certainly focused on the healthy aspect of things. Now, most of the girls
Mm-hmm,
I have coming into my program are between the ages of 7 and 14.
mm-hmm,
So at a prime age to work on things like being healthy. Because body positivity, absolutely. We need to look, anxiety and depression are such huge issues for girls or for teenagers
absolutely.
in general, right?
Mm-hmm,
And body positivity, I think, plays a big role in that. But I think if you do the right things, meaning you put the right kind of foods into your body, which of course affect how you view yourself, how you sleep at night, how you can focus in school, and all of these things are interconnected, and all of them are going to help your confidence. So in my class, yes, we work on strength. We work on building strong bodies. So not skinny bodies, not,
mm,
big, like we're just working on strength and building strength and doing that in a healthy way. And I think when you're healthy about it, body positivity is a lot easier because when you're building strength and you're like, oh my God, I
I
can do a
feel
pull up.
good.
I can do a
Right.
pull up. Like, wow, I never thought I could do that. My body is amazing. And then you're looking at your body like it's this amazing thing as opposed to nitpicking, too much
Mm,
fat around my belly or whatever it is. Um, and so I do think uh, body positivity is important, but we
mhm,
do need to look at it from a healthy perspective. If you are shoveling, processed foods, which
mm.
are so easy to grab, like I find myself doing it too sometimes, and I have to like reel myself back in and change what I'm putting into my body because it'll affect, the inside of my body. It affects my sleep. It affects everything. So I think
Everything.
yes. So I think it's important to recognize that you do need, yes, love your body, but you need to be doing the right things
Healthy.
for it as well.
Exactly. You
But yes,
mentioned something earlier, and you were saying, you know, that and it was based off of, you know, one of our viewers asking the question about, you know, mirroring, you know, girls mirroring what they see and what they
yep,
hear, you know. When you were talking about eating healthy and choosing to eat healthy versus the processed foods and things like that, would you recommend that parents actually bring their, you know, if women are going shopping, bringing their daughters or even their sons, but bringing their daughters with them to teach them how and what foods are healthy and why foods are not healthy? Do you think that that would also help with body positivity?
absolutely. I think giving them, um, so teaching them, right? If you bring them shopping, if you teach them how to cook, which by the way, I'm terrible at cooking. Luckily, my husband cooks, but teaching your children about that from an early age
Yeah.
gives them more control too, right? And then with that control, you can kind of teach them what's good, what's bad. Luckily, my kids are now very aware. Now, don't get me wrong, they'll certainly always choose a bag of chips over the
Hmm.
carrots, but most of the time they will say, "Mom, I just finished my carrots. Now can I have pretzels?" They
Right,
are
right.
aware of
So
that.
they have
So
the balance.
yes, and I think balance is important at this age.
Hmm.
But yes, I think teaching that makes them aware of it, and when they can make that decision themselves, I think
Yeah,
it makes a huge difference. So
I
yes,
think that,
I think that's a great thing to do.
Amber, I've really been enjoying this conversation with you. I mean, and we're gonna definitely be talking more about
Absolutely.
this. But for the viewers that are watching, that are, you know, whether they have a nonprofit organization or whether they're a mom, saying, "Look, I just need that push. I need to, you know, I need to have this," or someone who's running an event and would like to book you to be able to speak about this, or work with parents and things like that, where can the viewers find you to say, look, I gotta have Ambyr too? Asiya said she had to have Ambyr, and now I need to have Ambyr too. Where? Oh wait, before we get to that, you did something amazing.
What?
You wrote a book, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You didn't write a book? I thought you wrote a book. I don't know. When did I read that?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I did not.
I apologize. I thought that you wrote a book.
I am not a good writer.
Well, we're gonna get. You need to be writing a book, because the gems that you just dropped today needs to be in the ebook or something. So we're gonna get you. We're gonna make that happen. But if they want to find you, if the viewers want to find you, they want to book you, they want to have you come and work with their girls, or work within their family, things like that. Where can they find you?
So I do have a website, but the easiest way to get in touch with me would either be through email or through one of my social media, through Instagram or Facebook. And
what are your Instagram handles? And
so my Instagram handle is just I'm
with you, Katie.
It's at AmbyrFit, which is AmbyrFyt.
So just the way you have it spelled with the way I have it spelled, AmbYR. So Ambyr, and then fit. How do you spell fit?
FYT.
FYT.
So I stuck with the Y.
I love it.
It's a little different.
Yeah, I love it.
And then and my email address is also AmbyrFit, AmbyrFyt @gmail.com.
Easy, so easy to contact you.
Easier way. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And Katie, thank you so much. Katie is amazing.
Katie,
put it right
that
up
is
there.
Katie, that's the wrong thing. It's FYT. Can we just? That's my sister.
So it's Ambyr FYT.
Yeah.
So so Katie, if you could put that on there for everyone watching, it's at AmbyrFyt. That's how you can find her. And you can find her the same way through her email address at AmbyrFit with the Y, FYT @gmail.com. You got to get her. Her programs are amazing. And we're going to be working on that. One of our programs that we offer at Jessica Cares is to write a book. So we're going to get you that book.
We can make a liar out of me.
You're not going to make a liar out of me. I don't know where I read that. But I want to thank you for all of the advice that you gave the girls. But I want to do a quick little game. And actually, you are the first person that I'm doing this with on my show. So this is a little fun game. This is a little fun game that I want to do with you. So it's basically, I'm going to give you a comparison of this or this, and you choose me. You tell me, and you tell the viewers which one you would choose. So it's funny that you actually used it in what you said earlier. And would it be chips or carrot?
Carrot.
Workout or hang out?
Workout.
Jog or massage?
Massage.
I know that's right. Thank you so much for playing that with us. And I always
like that.
Yeah. And
my kids like to play that game.
I love it too.
This or that.
Yeah, I think it's great because it allows everyone to get to know you, know how you think, and what's important to you. So I think it's just a great way. So this is my first time, doing it, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do like 3 and just see how it goes. So thank you for being such a great sport about playing it.
Absolutely.
So I always like to leave our show and end our show with the guests leaving their final thoughts about what we're talking about today, and that's embracing body positivity and how that connects with self-love and self-esteem. So for the woman that's watching that may still have that little girl that hasn't healed or or unpacked those body positivity issues that she may have within herself or her struggles, and for that young girl who's feeling uneasy or insecure about her body, what are your final thoughts that you would have to them, speaking right directly to them?
I would say that your self-worth has nothing to do with your outer appearance. And focusing on loving yourself the way you are and not having to change for anyone is where it's at. And so that would be my biggest takeaway. Focus on loving yourself, focus on the positive things you have in your life. Um, and always bring it back to loving yourself and
Mhm.
loving the ones around you.
I think that is so positive. I think that's so powerful what you just said, Amber. And I think, what they say is really true. Misery loves company. And I think it's the same thing, positive people, they're going to want to spread that. They're going to want to be in environments
Yep.
like that. So they're going to bring it to the table, just like your friend, does. And I think what you said is if you love yourself, it's very difficult then to hate on someone else and insult
Mm-hmm.
and be the mean girl. It's very difficult to be a mean girl when you have love
Yeah.
within yourself. So I love that. I love that. And for our girls who are just starting school, just back to school, maybe transitioning from middle school to high school or grade
Mm-hmm.
school to middle school, it's a difficult time, and we do understand that. And we have women just like Amber. She has Instagram. You guys are on Instagram. Should hit her up, see what she's doing, her programs, maybe bring her and
Thank
have
you.
her hang out with you and your friends so that way she can pour into you and teach you some new things as you are transitioning into, uncharted, territory and just need that boost. She has the program and she has that, the tools to be able to help you to do that. So Amber, thank you so much for speaking to, our audience today. And thank you for our viewers who were so engaging and asking great questions, you know.
Thank you so
Uh,
much for having me.
and look, we
Yes,
got a
right, your book.
teen. We have a teen here. We have a teenager here, and she's saying, "Yes,
Oh,
write
wonderful.
your book."
Guess now I have to get started
The
on that.
pressure
Oh,
is on. The pressure
woo.
is on, and but that's a good thing because that means it's necessary. People want to
Okay.
hear it. People want to have that. And I think it's part of how we leave our legacy for people that we'll never meet that
Yep.
still may struggle with this. And Amber, you have, I mean, you poured into me today, and you gave me some real food for thought. It's like I pray about it in the morning, but does it
Okay.
carry me throughout the day? And you was like,
Yep.
when those thoughts come in, how do you replace it? And I'm really good. My takeaway from our conversation really was, be thankful for the things that your body can do. That's my takeaway, from today's discussion with you. So thank you once again, Amber. We are definitely going to be in touch and talking about what we're going to be doing together and collaborating with one another. So for those viewers that are watching, thank you for coming on our show, taking time midday on a Friday to hear this beautiful conversation. And stay tuned for in 2 weeks, we're going to be having another episode of Conversations with Asiya, where we're going to be discussing online safety. Online safety, which is really important because things are really crazy out here now with, the internet and what people are doing. So please be safe out there. Stay tuned for our next episode in 2 weeks. We'll be making that announcement and sharing it. If you have not done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Asiya Nasir 2014. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that way you won't miss another episode of Conversations with Asiya, and you can engage and participate and ask questions with our great speakers like the one that we had today. So enjoy yourself, be impactful, make an impact in someone's life, even if it's just a smile or saying hello. Say something positive, be intentional about what you do each and every day for yourself, first and foremost, so that way you can share it with the world. See you on the next episode of Conversations with Asiya. Have a great weekend, everybody.